This is how you step up to bullies. Now we're talking about the office bully. This bully is trying to diminish your power by berating you or degrading you, saying insulting things, especially in front of other people. And it's coming from a real basic instinct, just like a gorilla. You know those gorillas where to show that I'm the alpha, I'm the one in charge, they run around with their chest out and their arms back and they go around going, ooga, 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 ooga. And they're really trying to find their place in the pack. Is that what you call a gorilla herd? Is that a pack? But that gorilla is testing the others to see who's more dominant. And unfortunately, some of us have a little too much gorilla in us and still feel the need to prove ourselves or show dominance or show that we're the alpha, that we're in charge. And therefore, unfortunately, they exhibit gorilla-like signs in public. It could be at the office, or again, it could be at college. And they tend to say insulting things and test us in front of other people. And then they wait for our response. And many times what we will do is either kind of take it, make a joke about it, walk away, try to rise above it. But what we're not doing is speaking their language. If you're dealing with, we all know somebody like that. They're just real ooga ooga in their communication style, and they want to show people that they are in charge. The next time this happens to you, if somebody makes a comment to you that you believe is to show other people that they are the dominant one and you are, in turn, the passive one, and you think to yourself, no, I don't want to send that message today, here's what you do. Remember, the person who is not passive, who is not bullied by the big gorilla, is going to instinctively exhibit body language characteristics and show signs such as open chest, arms back. Remember the gorilla is like this? So the person who is confident and is not submissive is going to show open chest, arms back, chin up, face forward. And when someone approaches them in an aggressive way, my brother taught me this, by the way, instead of taking a step back or even holding your ground, what you want to do is take a step towards them. Therefore, when somebody makes a comment to you in a public forum, trying to show they're in charge, they're the big ape, what you want to do is pivot to face them. Make sure that if your arms were crossed, you drop them, put them to the side, chest out, chin up, face forward, face them head on, and ask, for example, a blacklight question such as, are you trying to insult me, John? Are you trying to say you didn't like that idea, John? Are you trying to make fun of me, John? Or a simple magic phrase such as, interesting, John, why would you say that? And as you ask the question, remember, if you're at a table, lean forward a little bit. Put your hands to the side on the table as you lean forward. If you're in person, if there's no table, if you're standing up, take a step forward towards that person. No, I don't mean an aggressive step. You're not coming up, what do you mean by that? Of course, I don't mean to say that. I mean, that's not going to solve anything. But if you simply exhibit the instinctive language patterns that are built into each and every one of us, and that some of us, because maybe their chromosomes haven't yet completely evolved, still speak that language at the office. If some people are still doing that, speak that language right back. And by using very subtle signs, such as shoulders back, chest out, leaning forward as you deliver your message, that is going to show that you are not submissive. So remember, when someone comes at you in an aggressive way, and of course, if they're coming at you with a knife, book, if they're coming at you to inflict physical harm, you want to go the other way. That's Dan's advice for now. However, if they're simply testing you because you're in their territory, they think, and they want to show themselves as dominant, remember, they come at you, move forward, chest forward, chin up, eyes forward, head tilted forward as you ask them a question. And that body language that you're exhibiting is going to show that you are not passive and they are not dominating you. The next communication strategy that I'd like to talk about today is how to ask an open-ended question with your body. This is the open-ended question power pose, okay? Let's say that we're at a table, as I am right now. When you ask an open-ended question, remember that you ask questions with your entire body. Many people will ask questions and they'll say things like, well, what happened? And when I ask a question and say, what happened, and cross my arms and lean back, the message that I'm sending you is, I don't want to hear about it. So instead, if I watch my body language and I'm asking an open-ended question, and what I want is as much information as possible, here's what you do. Remember, you want to make direct eye contact, of course. You want both of your feet, I'm not going to show you my feet, but you want both of them planted on the floor facing the other person. Remember, it is true that your feet tend to show where you're interested. So if you're very interested in the person with whom you're communicating, your feet tend to point towards them. If you're on a date and you want to see if your date wants to be with you, look where her or his feet are, because if they're pointing towards the door, that tends to be where they want to go. And I thought that was strange when I first heard that. I found it to be true. And remember that palms up shows give me information. Palms closed shows don't give me information. The lean forward says you want information. To put it all together in a very step-by-step way, when you ask an open-ended question and you want to assume the open-ended question power pose, you would want to make sure your chest is open, ask the open-ended question by using your hands and saying something such as, "What happened?" I'm going to tilt the camera down a little bit. You might say something such as, "What happened?" And remember that then, after you ask the question, lean forward. So to put it all together, feet forward, tell me what happened. Lean forward after you ask the question. And that is a very simple way to get as much information as you possibly can because you're asking the question with your whole body. That sounds like it was a terrible ordeal. Tell me what happened. And that is the open-ended question power pose. And now I'd like to talk about our danger phrases and power phrases for the week. I'd like to start out with our phrases for home. And our first power phrase is, I really enjoy spending time with you. Find somebody to whom you can deliver that message this week. Because even if we're sitting at home and we're alone, even if we're sitting at home and we're bored, but we're with our spouse or our significant other or whomever it may be, simply looking over to them and saying, I really enjoy spending time with you, articulates what generally we think anyway, but we're not always telling people how we feel about them. And it's those little phrases such as, I really enjoy spending time with you, even when we're doing nothing like we're doing now. I thought you'd like to know that. Telling people that makes a huge difference because how many people do you think really feel as if, boy, my emotional love tank is totally full because those around me are constantly filling it and telling me how much I mean to them? Who can say that? So if you're the person who can say that, even if it could be at work, you could say a variation of this to a coworker and say, I really enjoy spending time here with you at work. It makes the day go a lot quicker. Saying something like that can make somebody's whole week that one phrase. So this week, when your power phrase list is out, if you have not yet checked that one off as the phrase to say for the week, try doing that as soon as possible. And the more you say it, if that language isn't natural for you, the more you intentionally say it on purpose, the easier and more natural it will be for you in the future. And our other danger phrase for our personal life that also applies to work, but in different ways. We have other ways we might communicate this message at work is, are you sure you can? Yada, yada, yada. For example, let's say that somebody is looking to take on a new career and they have to go to school. Are you sure you can manage all of that schoolwork along with your other job? Most of us have said something like that to somebody. Are you sure you can handle that? Are you sure that's the right fit for you? And the next time you're about to say that, what I encourage you to do is check yourself, because we should have a danger phrase and a power phrase list. And when that phrase, are you sure you can, is about to come out of your mouth, instead stop and simply use the phrase, I believe in you, or some variation of that. I know that's going to be challenging for you, but I believe in you and know that you can do it. Saying that can make the difference between success and failure in somebody's life. Most of us don't have throngs of people around us who believe in us and who tell us so. I know many people who really can't name anybody who believes in them, and it shows. And it only takes one person to believe in us to transform our entire life. So if you can be that person, even if you think they know I believe in them, if you can be that person to tell somebody, I believe in you. I don't care what's happened up until this point. I believe in you. You can make a difference not just in their life, but in yours as well. So keep that list out. And remember, those phrases for the week, check them off after you say them. If they're not natural, get used to them so that they can become natural. And they can make a huge difference in your personal relationships. And now we've come to our danger phrases and power phrases for work. Our first danger phrase is, nobody's ever asked me that before. Remember, you don't want to reveal to a customer, this is for a customer, you don't want to reveal to a customer, I'm inexperienced. And that's what that does. It lets that person know, I haven't been around the block enough. And so even if it's true, we can all relate to people who are new at jobs. But don't tell somebody, I've never been asked that before. I don't know. This is the first time. You're going to walk through this with me. If you don't have the answer to a question, simply tell somebody, I don't have that answer, but I'll certainly get it for you. And then you can tell them, can you hold a moment while I do that? Can I get right back to you? Or whatever it may be. But instead of, no one's ever asked me that before, simply tell somebody, I don't have the answer to that, but I'll certainly get it for you. And then get back to them. Simple. And you've saved face as a professional. The last danger phrase for work is they. If you're new in terms of professional communication, you may say things such as, and they won't let me do that. If you're not so new, chances are you've already purged this from your professional verbal repertoire. However, we all know people who have said things such as, no, they want that by Friday. They won't let me do that. Who's they? Many times when we're simply trying to shift the blame or say, hey, I don't make the rules around here, we'll talk about they. But if we are professionals, what we want to do is, if we have to tell somebody, hey, there is somebody responsible for what I'm about to tell you, we want to name that person. The word they, we want to get out of our professional verbal repertoire. So if you're new, we all forgive you, but purge that word and replace it with the person that you're specifically talking about. Who's they? So those are your danger phrases and power phrases for the week. And now we've come to our email etiquette portion of this lesson. I've had many people ask me about writing better emails, and the truth of the matter is the way we write has changed a lot in the past 20 years. We no longer need to be perfectionists in our writing. We do not need to slave over proofreading and editing our letters. Of course, if we're sending out a professional document, a report or something like that, yes, we want to make sure that it's proofread and edited and all of that good stuff. However, when it comes to general email, that's the most common method of communication for most professionals these days. It used to be on the phone. And when somebody's on the phone with us, we forgive them their verbal typos. You know what I mean? When they stumble over their words or they don't say something correctly or whatever, we don't pay attention to it and give them little red marks. And people don't do that with letters anymore either. Therefore, we're in kind of a dilemma. How do we write effective emails without slaving over them? And what I'm going to do today is give you some tips. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to give you 8 tips for writing effective emails. I'm sure I'll give you more later, but these are 8 core tips that when you next time sit down to write an email, keep these in mind, and you can watch instantly the results that you get from your emails skyrocket. Tip number 1. Watch your subject line. For example, we want to have clear, specific subject lines. If you are writing an email about the new parking lot rules and regulations, many people in the subject line put things such as important question mark or exclamation point. You don't want to do that. You want to describe specifically what is in that letter. So, for example, a great subject line would be things such as new parking lot rules and regulations. You want to keep the subject line specific to the content. For example, if you're writing about a report that was due and you want to make sure that, or is due, you want to make sure that the person is still on track and you're asking them that, in the subject line, you don't want to put something such as quick question. You want to put something such as update on report due today. So watch your subject lines and make them as clear and precise as possible. Tip number 2, use an EOM. EOM is something that if you haven't seen, you'll see it soon. It stands for end of message in your subject line if you can. For example, in your subject line, if you're reminding the recipient that the budget report is due by 5 o'clock, and it's just a friendly reminder, you may put in your subject line, friendly reminder, budget report due by 5, EOM. What that means is end of message. You don't even need to open up this email. That is the end of my message. For example, you could also say something such as, please RSVP to holiday party by 4 today, EOM, and a message. So if you can use the EOM and stick it in your subject line, even better. Because remember, the point is to get people to read our emails. And the shorter they think they are, the more likely people are to read them. The next quick tip is the greeting. When you're giving somebody a greeting in your letter, remember, we don't want to leave out the greeting. Many people leave out the greeting, and that still is not acceptable. You also don't want to simply put, for example, if you're writing to me, you don't want to write Dan, yada, 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 because that can seem too harsh. You can put, hi, Dan, hey, Dan, howdy, Dan, good day. Those, I think, pretty much cover them all, and that covers your greeting. But remember that we still do put greetings. Then when it comes to your opening line, remember to put your main point in the opening line. For example, if you're expecting a response from the email, this is an email that is an action call, in the opening line, you could say something such as, you've already said, hi, Dan, as a quick reminder, the report is due by 5 o'clock today. If you have any challenges turning it in by then, please let me know. Hi, Dan, just a quick friendly update on the new parking lot rules and regulations, yada, yada, yada. Remember that in your subject line, put whatever the main message is, bam, right there, because many times people don't get much past the subject line. And if you don't quickly tell them, here's what this is about, they may not read the rest of it. Now, when you get to the content, if you can possibly use bulleted lists, golden. Everybody loves bulleted lists. Everybody reads bulleted lists. So if you have several pieces of information, for example, if there are many new rules in the parking lot regarding the parking lot, put them in a bulleted list form. If you're asking for many things from that person, a quick reminder of the things they need to bring to the meeting or whatever, put it in a bulleted list form. We should try to keep our emails to one topic per email, but if you are writing a longer email, ask yourself, can I make this into a bulleted list email, which makes it more scannable? Remember that scannable means they can quickly scan it without reading every word, because don't try to get people to read every word, and gather the relevant information. That's your goal. And bulleted lists are golden for that. So bulleted lists should be your new best friend when it comes to writing an effective email. And remember your call for action. If you have a specific call for action, put it at the very end of the email. Even if you've already said it in the email, right before you close, you can always put so to summarize, I'll be expecting that report by 5 o'clock today. So to summarize, I'm going to be sending you XYZ, and I'll be looking for XYZ from you. And once you've delivered your call for action, then you put your closing. Remember to put a closing. It has to be you can always put something such as a mini call for action, such as, I look forward to your quick response. I thank you in advance for all of your help. And those increase the likelihood of you getting a response, by the way. But if you're not looking for something and you just simply sent out a quick information email, you still have to put a closing. And a simple sincerely will do. Sincerely, Dan O'Connor. Best of luck to you, Dan O'Connor. Whatever it may be, but as an added note, regards or kind regards are not standard for American English. And if you put things such as regards or kind regards at the end of your emails, you're going to trigger in the brain of the recipient that you are not from the United States, and that may or may not be something you want to reveal to them. So a standard greeting, the standard greeting for the United States is simply sincerely. And if you keep those things in mind and apply them to every email that you write, simply make your subject line super descriptive, use an EOM if possible, watch your greeting, make your opening line count, use bulleted lists if possible, put a call for action at the end, and put a great closing line, you're good to go. And you don't need to stress out about your emails, but you will get results from your email. And that is the goal, not to write a perfect email, but to write an email that gets results. If you do those 8 things, you will get results. And the principle of this week is you are the problem and you are the solution. The reason I'd like to talk about this principle this week is because many times, naturally, when we have problems in our life, we tend to think that our problems in our relationships specifically are due to another person and their actions. Now, of course, I'm not talking about if a hurricane comes and blows your house away. Not what I'm talking about. If you have cancer, if you suffer a tragedy, you lose somebody, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about our problems in our life that are a problem in terms of our relationship. It could be our relationship with work. It could be our relationship with money. It could be our relationship with love. Whatever is a problem right now in our relationship, we might think we have many problems. And thank goodness we have one solution. Remember, in previous lessons, we've talked about basic communication principle. I am in charge of every relationship in my life. And if there's something missing from a relationship, it could only possibly be what I'm not giving to that relationship. And with that said, what I'd like you to do this week is really focus on whatever you see as a problem right now for you. And remember the simple truth, because it's very liberating. I will not stop. I'd like you to think this. I will not stop my thought process until I identify where I went wrong, how I brought this into my life. Because if I am truly capable of solving my problem, and another piece of good news is, universally speaking, in nature, the moment something goes wrong in nature, that same moment, the correction for that problem, something to fix it and take care of and cure the problem, magically manifests at the same time. That happens in our life too. The moment we perceive a problem in our life, that problem is simply us and our perception of something and how we're not seeing things correctly. At that same moment, the solution is there waiting for us, but it's coming from the same place. It's us. We need to look at this through a different set of eyes. We need to look at this from a different perspective. We need to figure out where we went wrong in our perspective, basically, and realize I am the problem in this situation. And the reason that's so liberating is because that means, I'm also the solution. And now I'm not talking about pop psychology that says things such as, oh, the cancer that I have, oh, it's just because I had negativity in my brain, but if I can simply purge that, then everything will be perfect. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about simply the fact of the matter that if I'm having a problem in one of my relationships with money, with family, with work, that is my relationship. And it's very empowering to realize that not only am I the problem, but I am the solution. Yippee, it's all right here. That does not make me weak to recognize that I am the one who has caused the problem in my life. Somehow, by some chain of events that I have to then uncover, recognize. That does not make me weak. Recognizing that I am the one who caused the problem also means that I am totally capable of solving the problem, and that is not weak. That is powerful. So this week, what I'd like you to do is keep that in mind. I am the only problem, and I am the only solution. And with that said, you're going to have a fantastic week. You're going to somehow see an aggressive person. So I apologize in advance because they're going to show up. But the good news is you're going to have the opportunity to use the new tools you've learned when it comes to confronting the bully. You have some great danger phrases and power phrases. I'd like you to watch the emails that you're sending out and watch what a different response you get when you apply those 8 principles that we talked about. And remember the principle of the week, that you are unfortunately the problem, but for